Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. I think it's Tuesday in just about all of our time zones, as far as I know. But you know me, if you guys have watched any of these at all, Mark has no idea what time it is anywhere. But no matter what time it is, good morning. Happy to see you. I'm here with my friend riding shotgun right over here, and his name is
Will, I think.
And we've got our special guests. We got Kim and Garrett here, and a lot of you already know who they are. But if you don't, this is going to be great for you because they are fantastic, and you're going to enjoy getting to know more about them. And they're going to share a lot of wisdom that they have for us today about craft shows, and it's going to be fantastic. So as you guys join, first of all, let us know that you're here in the chat. Say hi. Maybe let us know where you're watching from. We love to always hear what the weather's like in your neck of the woods, so let us know that. And start dropping some questions about craft shows, because I think that they're going to cover a lot today. But if they aren't able to get to everything, we can always feed them some questions later. If you're watching on demand later, you can still drop things in the chat, and we will do our best to keep up with them. So Kim and Garrett are going to be guests at our conference this summer in August, and they're going to be teaching a class on craft shows. And we thought it'd be cool to have them be a guest here, and again, for you to get to know them and for them to kind of give us a little peek into maybe some of the things they might be teaching. And you'll really enjoy it when you get to the conference. And I highly recommend that you go to their class. If you do have a ticket and you're going to the conference and you can't make it to all the classes, no worries. They're all going to be recorded, so all ticket holders will get a chance to see all of the classes, whether you missed them or not. So that's going to be great. But enough of that. Let me just have our guests introduce themselves. So Kim and Garrett, why don't you tell us who you are, and maybe we'll do this now and at the end also. Let them know how they can find you and where they can find more of your content and a little bit about what you guys do. And then we'll jump into talking about craft shows.
Sounds good. You want to
go for it? You got our elevator pitch down.
We are Kim Garrett. We're a husband-wife team. Our main platform is YouTube, but of course you can find us on all the socials. We have a YouTube channel about DIY. It's mostly laser crafts. And every week we show you how to make something with your laser and hopefully make money with it. And where did we get started? A little bit about our background.
Well, we got started because two of our kids, well, all of our kids are hilarious, but two of them are super hilarious. I've been trying to get one to do stand-up or something. Well, they were watching the show and they were doing their own commentating, and I said, you guys should do a YouTube channel where you comment on these movies and stuff. You guys are hilarious. It's like that Mystery Science Theater. Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing. I was like, get on YouTube and do that. Somebody would watch it, and they're like, you can't just start a YouTube channel. I was like, sure you can. Kim, start a YouTube channel.
That's what he said. You do it. And I was like, I'm not doing it. You do it. We can do it.
And I was like, yeah, we could do it. So we did, just to show them they could just start a YouTube channel.
So that's what we started doing. We just started making. So we had just moved into a new house. We had furniture to make, home decor to make, and we were making things anyway. So we just started filming ourselves doing that. And folks started asking over time. That grew, the audience grew. Folks started asking, well, can I buy that? Can I buy what you just made? I don't want to make it. Can I buy it? So we were like,
quickly made a website, and I was like, you sure can?
Yeah.
And then we got a glow forge, and we started making like more home decor things, a little less saw and hammer, and a little more glue and glow forge.
Yep.
And people were like, hey, can I buy that? And then somebody was like, can I buy those in bulk so that I can do craft shows? And I was like, we should be doing craft shows.
So that evolved, just like he's saying, that evolved into, well, a little more about us, and then I'll tell you how we got to craft shows. So YouTube channel went into craft shows, which went to the website on how we could sell products on our website. And then when we kind of outgrew our home and moved into the space that we're in, it's kind of a more of a commercial building. We added workshops, and so we have kind of a kind of, I don't know, 4 or 5-fold business. We have our online store, we have our YouTube channel, we have the workshops. We also sell at craft shows and local like retail places. I don't know if you guys know what a painted tree is.
Craft boutique.
Yeah, craft boutiques. Good. Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
we also started our own paint brand. So,
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. So how many times can you say somebody else's paint brand before you're like, what am I doing? I'm sending them away from my channel every time. What paint do you use? What paint do you use? Now we can say we use our paint. Yes. So yes, we have our paint brand.
That's great, man. I can already tell that there's going to be so much content that we just aren't going to get to because there's so much richness here. I have to say, I'm a little surprised that your kids did not start a Mystery Science Theater 3000 like on your channel, like little silhouettes in front of you. That would be amazing for them just to comment
Oh
on
my
your,
gosh, that
on
would
your
be
video.
so. You know what? I don't think
That
we
would
ever
be
really
great.
talked about that,
'Cause-
but I'm sure they do it already.
Oh, I know they roast us all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We were cringy. We're
Yeah,
a little
we were
less
cringe.
cringy now,
Yeah.
but we were definitely cringy in the beginning.
I was gonna say, is that what they say? Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like they wouldn't tell people about our YouTube channel.
Well, when I was like, well, when I'm going to start a YouTube channel, they were like, don't.
Yes,
start
don't.
a You do not need a YouTube channel, Dad.
I know.
Well, speaking of jokes,
Yeah.
we had someone who joined in on the chat and said, Sumita said, hey, Kim and Garrett decided to beat you at jokes again. So if you guys were there in
That's right,
Tulsa, we
yeah.
had a dad joke battle with
We
Kim
did.
and Garrett versus Sumita and Anuj Patel, and it was hilarious. So
Yes.
um,
It was
Well, I was
great.
amped because Kim's a giggler.
Yes.
If you watch our YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
I couldn't help but
Yeah.
giggle.
So
They're dumb dad jokes are get me every time. So
that's it.
You married the right person for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right?
He's lucky I'm still entertained most of the time.
Most of the time. That's so great.
Well, it's
Well-
hard coming up with new material. That's the hard part.
Is it though?
Yeah, right.
really, no.
Mhm.
No, it isn't. That's great. Well, let's jump into talking a little bit about craft shows. The first thing I want to start out asking is, I assume that most of our audience has lasers, so we'll use that in that context, but they can apply it however it works for them. Should everybody be having a booth at a craft show? Is that for everybody? And if not, who is it for? Who's it not for? Let's kind of start there.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's for everybody. Not everybody has the personality or attitude to be at a craft show.
Or
Not
the,
everybody wants to be at a craft show. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
yeah, well, or the hustle. So craft
Yeah, there is a
shows
hustle.
craft shows take a lot of hustle. You've got to be committed. So you're making tons of product to make sure you're prepared for a craft show. And then you've got to set up your booth. You've got to take it down. You've got to be the sales guy. You've got to be the creator. You've got to do all the content, all the material. So there's a lot to it. But if you have a product that you are excited and proud of and confident,
You got a couple of products you love that they're not acceptable, but you love and you think other people will love. This is a great place to go try it out, see if other people really do love it, get some real life feedback. It's a good way to beta test your products before you start like putting a lot of time into it.
If I could follow up on that question, if I have never done a craft show before, and I think that this may be something for me, can you give me just a tip or two? What kind of things should I be doing to prepare to get ready for a show? And I don't mean how to pack the car. That's too. I'm not talking about that. But if I've never done it before, what are some preparation steps that I might want to take prior to my first show?
let's see.
I mean, test out your booth, just like you don't. I was likening it to playing baseball the other day. I was talking to someone, and I said, you can't just walk out to a pro field. You're playing your first game. Then you got to go to spring training, and there's a lot of practice in between and every game. So practice. Set up your booth in your yard. That's what we did. Our first booth, we wanted to set it up in our yard to see if it actually worked like we thought it would, see how hard it was to set up and how much time we would need to set it up. And then can we break it back down easily? And then we also started really close. We didn't want to travel because we knew we'd be doing a lot of running back and forth to the house. We're going to forget something. So our first show wasn't even a show. It was a local farmer's market where most of the product was like vegetables, but it was a mile away from the house.
Mhm.
So that when we got there,
It's
Did they
always
freeze?
Oh,
Oh.
yep.
Yep,
So
they
when,
did.
so when they got there, tune in next week to find out what happened.
Thank goodness they're doing the live close to their office because they had to run and grab something really quick. They'll be
Yeah,
they'll
some
be
more
right back.
vegetables or something. Yeah. So we'll kind of get them back here in just a second. It's the beauty of the internet here. Hey, Will, have you done anything? I know you sold physical products from time to time. Have you actually done anything like a show before?
I've done similar, very small scale. I've done a lot of the times, the few times that I have done it, it has either been with other makers to just kind of experience it, but also I've done a few craft shows at my church.
Gotcha.
So just a little different setup, but I think they're back. Let's
Yep.
throw them on here.
So we'll put them back on here. So this is great. So I'll let you guys kind of catch your breath there technologically for just a second. But also, guys, while you're watching, if you have any questions for them about craft shows at all, whether it's something they're talking about now or another question you have, drop in the chat for us because they're going to have some great insight on these. So you were talking about vegetables, is I think where you were. There.
yeah, so our first show was actually at a farmer's market where most of the stuff there, most of the other vendors sold produce, vegetables,
Mhm.
food and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was great because we forgot a lot of stuff. So we would forget the zip ties and I'd run back and I'd grab the zip ties.
Price tags.
Price
yeah.
tags. There was so much that we forgot. Well, the price tags came about because somebody would walk into the booth and be like, how much are these? And I was like, oh, we don't have any price tags.
There's no.
And then somebody else was like, well, how do I find you online? I was like, we need a sign for how they find us online. So having it really close there allowed us to test a lot of stuff out and run back all the time. Like there was we forgot like hangers. We forgot the tent one time. So yeah, there was a lot of forgetting in the first like 6 months of trying it out.
I bet. We'll go ahead. You got a couple of questions. I'll let you shoot some.
Yeah, so like you guys said, you guys have progressed over the years of doing it. How long have you guys been doing craft shows, and like how many on average do you do a year? And when you decide which ones are work for me, like how do you decide? How do you vet which shows to go to?
So that was a lot. There's a lot to unpack in that one.
Yeah, there is.
So we've been doing it about 6 years. 6 years we've been going.
Well,
out and
2020,
selling
right?
our
Didn't we
wares.
start it in 2020?
No, it was 2018 when we started the farmer's market. I know because I saw where our booth setup was and it said 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the first farmer's market. And let's see. So from there, it's really evolved. I mean, like we said, it started out small and then we started bigger shows. And now we're on the downhill. So
yeah. So, well, here's a tip. And this is what's like saved us. Find yourself a craft show mentor. We found a lady that was doing it for 30 years. She just retired from the craft show business this year. She plans to cruise at 90% of the year. That's her thing now. But she gave us gold. Like she would tell us what shows were her shows that she did. Things that she would come into our booth all the time and critique our booth and be like, you need blah, blah, blah. You need this.
But she was at a lot of the same shows because she was the one sharing them with us. And so over time, let me answer, like, how many do we do?
Yeah, sorry.
So we would start with a spring. We would start in the spring, and about every month or 2 months, we learned over time, you just learn things. So the spring shows are half or a third of what the fall shows are. They're much bigger. The summer shows, they're out there, but they're fewer and far between because no one wants to go out when it's 105 degrees and a field of grass and hot sun. We also learned that we do not want to be out in a field at 105 degrees. So while we would do the summer shows, Now we kind of back off on the summer shows. So those J months, June, July, and really August, we really don't do too many shows.
We get a lot of prep in for the fall shows.
Or local. If it's an event, a one-day event, and it's close by and we can market our workshops, we will do that in the summertime. If it's an indoor show, if it's an indoor craft show at a conference hall, a coliseum or something.
Arena.
Yeah. So if it's a big place like that and it's air conditioned, we're all in. You can count us in for that one. But those outdoor craft shows in the middle of the summer, we've kind of dialed those back. We don't do those as much anymore. But we've learned to stack the fall, September, October, November to the middle of December.
That's where
they're almost
like
every weekend.
60 to 70% of our money for the year comes from those 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when we were young and hungry, it was a shotgun blast. We would go to every show that was within like 90 minutes of here. And
especially the farmer's market where there's food.
Yeah. I love
our favorite salsa is from that farmer's market.
Yeah.
And we followed her. She's grown. She's now in the Wegmans grocery stores, the big grocery stores in town. She now stocks her stuff there. So it's fun to watch other people's journeys. Like she has
the coffee vendor that was there.
Mm-hmm.
He now has a brick and mortar and he's got 2 stores now. So it's fun watching our farmers market people grow up with us.
I know Will's got another question for you, but I want to pop one in here just for a moment. When you're thinking about looking at shows specifically, obviously for you, are there any specific things you look at? Like when you're thinking, I'm wondering about this myself. You're thinking about the types of things you sell, maybe your ideal customer base. When you're looking at these shows, what are some pros or cons that make you say, yeah, this one's probably a good one for me. This one's probably not because of what I sell or who the people are. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit when it comes to your decision making on which ones you go to?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. So you definitely, just like you said, we agree. You need to know who your ideal customer is, who is buying your product, and go to those locations, go to the shows that they attend. I have attended craft shows growing up with my mom and my aunts all through my childhood and adulthood. When my mom stopped going, I would have friends and I would go. So I knew all the local craft shows.
The established shows.
Mm-hmm.
That
those
20,
that had been around
old.
for a long time. Those are definitely tip. That's a huge tip. Find the ones that have been around and have been doing this a long time.
Because they have a good following.
And then that for us, I knew what I'm selling. This is the type of people that are buying my product. But then there are things like train shows. So up here in Ashland, it's a big old school train station, and they have the Ashland Train Show. So if you're selling a product that's going to appeal to that market, those kind of the people that would attend a train show, then that's a great show for you. We sell door hangers. Well, you can't really see it in the camera right now. Oh yeah, you can, behind Garrett. So that's not what the people at the train shows are looking for. You're talking dads and their sons and folks that are really have an interest in
those old railheads.
So they're probably not looking for, butterfly door hangers. That's probably not my niche market, but they're out there. And the more you pay attention to what's being advertised in your town and you attend, that's another big tip. You got to go and attend the show with your vendor goggles on and pay attention to who's there.
Scope the show before you can go if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a show that we scoped out. We heard a lot of people had a lot of luck at, and we scoped it out. And it was one of those craft shows that you could sell anything at. You could buy all your stuff from Temu and set up a booth.
Yeah,
and we were
it was
like,
more of a,
this isn't for us.
A bazaar.
Yeah, we're looking for more of an arts and craft show. We feel like we border on art. So that's what we look for. And to give you an example, we went to like a really big farmer's market, and we went for like 3 months. It was big. There was like 100 and something vendors every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so it was pretty big. And we would make like no money. The mushroom lady next to us was killing it. Killing it.
I mean, we would sit there and she had people walking up ooh, can I get a well-established mushroom log already germinated, with mushrooms on it? And then they would take it home, and we would just sit and watch. She would shovel mushrooms into bags, and then different kinds of mushrooms. That lady killed it. And this was during the winter months.
Well, yeah.
And we were
struggling.
freezing.
But the next year we didn't go to that one. Instead, we went to a smaller craft show, maybe 20 vendors, and we killed it because they were coming looking for arts and crafts. They weren't coming looking for
fruits
the
and
mushroom
vegetables.
lady. Yeah.
Germinated mushrooms.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Kombucha, all of those things, bread, the bread vendor, all of those people were doing great at that market, but our door hangers just that wasn't the niche for us.
And when you guys, look for shows, what are some resources that you guys use to actually find where shows are in your area?
Well,
Yeah.
number one
right there.
is kind of what you just said.
Oh, mentor.
Well, not even a mentor, just get to know as you go around and you talk to vendors. Vendors are your number one
You got to know
resource
who are
for
the
the
people
best
in your
shows.
neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Sing it.
Just talk to them, get to know them. I mean, that's where I excel at the craft shows.
Yeah.
Garrett gives me a hard time, but if I wander off, I'm
'Cause
like,
she's
oh,
like-
okay, I'm gonna walk around.
She'll be like, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't worry about it. I got it. And then like 90 minutes later, she comes back with bags of stuff. And she's like, guess who I met?
Or I'm negotiating, so
Yes.
we're trading. Oh, I got this. She's coming over. She's
There's a
gonna get
lot of
door
bargaining
hanger.
that
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
So, but really getting to know the other vendors. The other vendors are going to share with you the best markets around, and they might come from. So, one of our
Oh,
favorite vendors, the gourds, they sell these gourds. We actually met that vendor in
Oh, my
South
gourd.
Carolina.
That's
Yeah.
their booth.
Oh my gourd.
Oh,
is
my
their booth,
gourd.
and I love them.
Yeah.
They actually, we met them in South Carolina at a show that we were at in South Carolina. We don't really go that far anymore, but we tested the waters. You may be a travel person. We did for a long time. We wanted an RV and we want to just travel craft shows. But with
I
the
still
YouTube
do.
channel, with the YouTube channel, we really can't work both of those angles. But she does. They come all the way from, where are they at? In Ohio or Michigan?
Ohio. No, it's
They're-
Ohio.
Yeah.
Southern Ohio.
So they travel
They have a
all up
gourd
and
farm.
down the eastern seaboard
Yeah.
here, and they go to all the different shows. But they shared with us, so they were one of the first people to share with us. Let me put this out of here. Sunshine Artist. Can you see
Yep.
that?
Yep.
So this magazine and this company, just their website, they have the best shows. This will give you everything you want to know about craft shows. I was so thankful because she said something about Sunshine Artist. And I looked at her with a blank face and she goes, do you not know what I'm talking about? I was like, mm-mm. She goes, are you kidding me? How could you even be at a craft show and not know what Sunshine Artist is? Yeah, I was embarrassed. I was like, should I know what that is? But then I went right back to our booth and I was like, look up Sunshine Artist right now. We're going to look this.
You should have said, girl, I know, but Garrett doesn't know. So tell
Yeah,
him.
he doesn't know.
Tell him.
Yeah.
You should tell him all about
He
it.
was asleep.
Yeah. Act like I don't know, so he doesn't feel stupid.
Yeah. Yes, so that is a great resource. And then festivalnet.com, festivalnet.com, so Festival Network.
Festivalnet.com.
Yes, is a great resource too. All the different shows, they'll show you. That one's another one that really will show you how many attendees are typically at this market, this show. When it's, let's see, number of vendors, whether it's juried or not. That's something we can
that's
talk
another good
about.
one, yeah.
Yeah, we can
Oh.
talk about that. Like, how do you vet shows? But whether or not it's juried and how many years it's been running. Again, the longevity there lets you know it's a big show. And if it's been running for 20 years, then it has a big audience.
The people coming with cash.
Yeah.
Well,
they
to
come here-
follow up on that, I heard the term that I hear a lot when it comes to craft shows is juried shows. And I know there's a lot of people who are still new to craft shows and they don't know what a juried show is. Can you guys maybe share a little bit about what a juried versus a non-juried show is?
Yeah. Do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
Great. You're the one that schedules them all.
So a juried show is you're going to submit your information. They want to know, they want photos of your product. They want photos of your booth. And then they make sure that they're vetting the vendors that are at the show. So not every vendor will get in. They're making sure they have a variety of products. So we don't have 60% soap vendors and 40% everything else. Or, you know, it's not 50-50 candles and soaps, things like that. They're making sure they have a limited number of vendors.
There's not 10 door sign vendors.
Yes. So in our area of I guess products, we're hoping that you don't have 15 door sign vendors there, because it's not that I want to be the only one. I just don't want the show to be all one thing. So they're making sure they have a variety of products and that they only have a limited number of vendors for each of those products. So that's
some of them also make sure that they're handmade.
Oh, definitely. They definitely vet the vendors that they allow in the show. So they're making sure.
We've heard some even want you to be using your designs.
Right. So that's something new. I mean, if you want to kind of get into some of the like evolving things with craft shows, laser vendors are some folks are having a hard time, because when they go to some of these craft shows, they're not making their designs, they're buying designs. And some vendors were turning away, some shows, we're turning away vendors that didn't make their own designs. They're like, well, you're using a laser. And they're like, yeah, well, you're using a drill or a saw. Of course, that's my tool. And then they were like, well, you don't make your own designs, you buy your designs. And they were like, yeah, but I hand make every one of these. I cut them on my laser. I sand them. I choose the stains. I finish them. They do some really beautiful. This vendor that I have in mind right now does some really beautiful work. And there's a lot of handcrafting in what they put together. And these, the layered maps. I know you guys have seen them, but with so many different colors, and they paint everyone, and the fine sanding and finishing. And they were telling them that they couldn't attend the show because that wasn't their design. And I felt for them, because I know that their work is super handcrafted.
Yeah.
Would you say that, do you prefer juried shows or not necessarily? Tell me about that.
I do. I like the juried shows because it kind of keeps.
Kim.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. It's allergies. Yes. I was like, I was trying to ignore it, but I couldn't anymore. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. Sorry, Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett.
The jury shows kind of keep the playing field even and the riffraff out. Like at a jury show,
you've never been to a show with riffraff.
Right, exactly. That's my point. But we did go to the bazaar where you could buy Temu stuff and sell it, and that's not a jury show.
Right. Well, that's not really a craft show. It's called the Bazaar, which we love. Don't think that I don't love that show. I love going in that show.
I still go.
But you can find that. So that is not a craft show. So there's different types of shows here. And well, there's something else I could add to that. There are also the different types of shows, and then the show producers will only allow you to attend a show every 45 days, maybe in your area. So
there's some of those.
Yeah. Oh. So the Bazaar and the Craftsman's show, they are 1 month apart. They are literally 4 weeks apart, but we cannot attend both of those shows. They both have rules in place that say you can only attend a show in this area every 45 days. And they do that because they know they don't want the same vendors attending this show and then turning around and attending the other show, because then you're not getting people. Right. Yeah. The same 100 vendors are at every single show. You don't, folks don't really want to see that. They want to see a variety of things.
So just have two companies.
We do.
And then Garrett and Kim go to one, and Kim and Garrett go to the other.
We do not do that. We only attend one.
It's a Gim and Carrot.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's important too for people to realize is sometimes with these juried shows, they do tend to be a little more expensive, but they're also vetted. So, but also if they're taking the time to do all that, they're probably promoting their show really well as well. Because I think I've seen people say, hey, I signed up for this show, and the promoters don't promote the show, where others are like, social media constantly, and they're just driving people to
TV
those
ads,
shows. So
radio ads. You
Yeah.
start seeing them everywhere the week of. It's all over
Yeah,
town.
the
You can't
Grid
miss
Show
it.
will have a
Billboards.
TV ads in the morning.
Well, in
If
fact,
you watch the weather and see an ad.
I've got a question that's kind of related to that. It's down further on my list, but I'll jump to it now, and then Will, you can follow up with some of these other ones too. Is when you think about traffic for the event, what do you do, or what do you recommend, if anything, that you can do to help drive traffic before the event and then during the event? I'm talking about outside of what the event itself is doing. Or I assume this is not the case, or do you just simply don't do anything and let the event do it all? So what do you recommend before the event and then maybe even during to drive traffic?
Yeah, we definitely want our regulars to know, hey, we're going to be out and about. Come visit us. So a couple of weeks before, Kim will start to drop stories and teasers and stuff. And then the week of, we'll do like posts and stuff. Hey, come see us at whatever.
Definitely do an email blast. So that's
email
a number
blast.
one thing that you must do if you're at craft shows. Sometimes we're not always
And
great.
for the big one, like our biggest one of the year, we'll do email blasts and text blasts. Hey, we're going to be out and about at the Craftsman Classic. It's not just us. It's huge. If you haven't heard about it.
Well, and you want to make sure you're collecting those email addresses. So if you're at a show, make sure that you have a place or a way to get folks to give you their email address. So you can give them a coupon, you can give them a freebie, you can, a lot of times
QR
what folks
code.
do is just put something up as a raffle. If you sign up here, enter the raffle, enter our email and join our email list, then you can win this sign at the end of the event. So you just have it posted right there at your table, and folks will quite often give you their email address, because if they like their product, they're going to want to know where you're at and what shows you're at. So you build that email list, and that's going to be crucial to let folks know, hey, we're at this show, especially if you're 90 minutes. If you're somewhere in your vicinity, they'll travel. Oh, I've never been to that show for us, it's Fredericksburg. It's 45 minutes away.
Well, right after that, you start dropping stories, like live from the event, drop stories and stuff. Hey.
Yeah, that's the day
of.
Us. You definitely want to let folks know when you're there. Show them that you're at your booth. Hey, shows today. Here we are. We're all set up, and show them, walk around and show some of the product, because people will come because they saw something behind you. We've had it happen. Yeah, they saw a sign behind me, and
they've come with it paused and said, where did this go?
Yeah,
we want to buy this.
And I was like, it's gone.
So I know you guys mentioned your mentor, right, who helped point out a lot of things for yourself. Something you guys can share. What are some things that you see where new craft show vendors make mistakes? Like, what are some of the things that you can share that could help avoid those mistakes?
I think a big one isn't being present at your booth. Just sitting in a chair, slouched down back there, maybe taking a nap.
That's a big one. We see
being on your phone. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I will walk around the stuff, the craft shows all the time, and there's, I'm going to say, like 50% of the booths you can't see the person because they're on their phone back there or hiding.
Yeah. So eye level, make everything eye level.
So we sit
is
on
a big
stools,
one for us.
And Kim's a big, hey, how you doing? I like your shoes.
Yeah. Well, you have to engage folks. You don't want to hound them, but you don't want to ignore them either. So I do try and greet folks, strike up a conversation, especially if they have a pet. I'll say something about the pet. I might say something about genuinely something that interests me. Whatever, if I like what you're wearing, if I like your shoes,
at least a good morning.
Whatever catches my eye, I might just strike up a conversation about it. Or if they're talking about something, I'll jump in and add my 2 cents into their conversation. If they're talking about the weather or the food, I love that food vendor down there. We come to this show all the time. Just try and strike up a conversation.
That and dress out. Dress like you're coming to work. Don't come in your pajamas. I see.
Oh, that's if you're at a craft show, dressed like you're the artisan.
Yes.
So for us, wearing an apron that shows this is what we're doing, we're the painters of these signs, makes a big difference, because then they feel like they're meeting the craftsman.
Well, you're
artist.
easily identifiable too. You're not just another customer in the booth. They
That's
don't have
branding.
to ask, "Hey, do you work here?" No, they can pick you out. Yeah. So branding. She wears a little. It's got a branded and apron and.
Well, and Garrett. So you know Garrett. When you see Garrett, people always point him out. They're like, "Wait a minute, hey, are you on YouTube?" Well, because he's always wearing his signature hat, and he's usually and he's usually wearing. We're almost this morning. We're going to somewhere after work today, and I said, I am not wearing a Kim and Garrett Make It shirt out tonight. I need to find a sweater to bring with me.
It's like 90% of my wardrobe.
This is what we wear most of the time, a Kim and Garrett Make It shirt, because you never know. Yeah. Always be branding.
I told her it's ABBBB. Always be branding, babe.
That's what he said, babe. I was like, what's the extra B? Babe.
That's so great. That's so great. So I've got a couple of random things just to fire at you, because I know people need to know these answers, especially when they're new. When they're preparing to come to a show, how in the world do you figure out how many of each thing to bring? I mean, I know that can vary a little bit, but give us some kind of wisdom on there, either from your mistakes or from your successes. Either way, how do I approach that if I'm brand new? How many of each thing do I bring?
So I have that formula, and I actually got caught off guard because I don't have it in front of me. But it's about, for every 10,000 attendees, or I think I pared it down. So if you're going to a craft show and you know that there are about 1,000 people, maybe for a farmer's market, how
100
much
will stop by. Maybe 10 will buy.
Right. So we know at our farmers markets, we would bring 20 to 40 signs. And then, but if we're going to a Christmas craft show in the fall, we know like we're bringing, 200 signs at least. Or we would do it by wagons, but it's based on average number of attendees. And I will be prepared with that formula when we're at next level. So
and product size. And product size. If you got a lot of little things.
Oh, this is a good one. Yes.
Yeah. If you got a lot of little things priced at a smaller price point, bring as much as you can carry, and then as your product and prices grow, you probably don't need as much.
Right. Bring your smalls, because people, that's in more budgets, smaller items. So bring a lot of those. You want to bring your mid-sized priced items. You want to bring a good, I don't know, maybe I would say
probably half of what your smalls are.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Half of what maybe your smalls are. And then your top tier products, those things
like
that
5 or 6 wows.
Yes,
wow, they probably won't sell, but they'll catch an eye and bring somebody to the booth.
Definitely.
Yeah, we got a couple of our door hangers that are priced at like $80 because there's a lot of stuff that goes into them. We got one that's $125, and I didn't think it would sell at $125, but it sells.
Well, that happened to be a bidding war when we said no. Well, at first we were like, no, it's not for sale. We only have one of those, but it's for fun, and the guy was like, no, I'll take it. Yeah. I said, well, we really just weren't going to sell it. And then somebody else said, I'll take it. He goes, I'll give you, what did he say? I'll give you $80 for it. Right. And then the next guy was like, well, I'll give you 100 for it. And it ended up selling for 125. And I was like, okay, here you go. But he still comes by our booth. This is years later. And he says,
but that
remember when I bought that sign? I was like, I do know exactly who you are.
The bidding war caused a traffic jam.
Yes.
Which caused a spike in our sales too, because everybody wanted to know what was happening over there. Everybody stuck around and was looking. And then when those two were done, they left. But everybody else, a lot of them stayed and bought.
So now, do you stage that in the future? Do you stage,
we kind of stage it, because what we started doing is demos, or I fix a sign out in the open, or we finish a sign.
That's another big one for us. Is show you working on your product, even if you can't craft, or well, if you're talking lasers, a small portable laser. And be able to add.
It's like a puppy.
Yes, it's like a puppy at your booth. People really want to stop in and see what's happening, and adding personalization or customization to something. you're gonna stop people. If people stop at your booth, and the next guy wants to see what's happening at your booth, and that's how you build traffic. Is if you can bring the attention.
You gotta catch the rubberneckers.
They want to know what's the excitement over there.
Yeah.
So definitely do something. If it that bidding war definitely stopped a whole crowd of people, and that was entertaining. So
yeah, that just comes down to, I guess, we have a couple of wows that we don't expect to sell, but they're out there because they catch eyes. Maybe they're super sparkly, or there's a lot of intricate pieces to it, but it'll stop them. They're like, oh, that's the best. Well, what else do they have? You kind of give them that initial sticker shock, and then everything else doesn't seem as expensive.
Yeah.
It looks great.
So I see that. Will, would you grab Charisma's question here in just a second? I'll ask. Hold on to that one for a second. I got a question to ask him and get to that one. When it comes to, I'm sure that everybody out there is getting different size booths. So I'm not so talking about the size of the booth, but when it comes to your layout of your booth, I have a question about that. I used to travel a little bit and go to shows, not with craft shows, but with other products. And we talked a lot about, like, let's say we had a 10 by 20 or a 10 by 10 or whatever. And we debated a lot about whether our tables should be right up against the lease line, or whether it should be like a backwards U where it kind of draws people in. What have you learned about people's comfort level, about the product layout, that kind of thing, that you could share with us? Either, hey, I should definitely do this, or hey, never do that. Kind of talk to me a little bit about the layout and what might make sense.
Well, this is another one, like I said, talking about getting to know your friends at craft shows and the vendors that are next to you.
Well, that and paying attention. We pay attention to where the traffic comes in and goes out.
So one of the vendor beside us at one of the Christmas shows said, she actually was right next to us, and she had a ton of product, and her big tip was get your product in front of the people. You don't want them to have to go into your booth to see it, right? Yeah. Because you don't want them, they're going to be hesitant. And of course we see that people with strollers, they look and they're afraid to step in. So for us, we don't really, so if you're selling jewelry, this lady was selling jewelry and she was on a corner booth. So she was able to put everything at the front of her booth, and the tables were right on the line. Yes. But for us, we don't have that luxury. So what we do, though, is we have a couple of stands that we have facing the front of the booth. They aren't just along the insides of the booth. They're actually facing the front. So when you walk by,
and that's where we put our wows.
Wow. So that you can touch it, feel it, get up close, look behind it. That's the thing, is you want them to be able to touch it, feel it. And so having product at the very front of your booth is important. But for us, we don't have the luxury of just being able to have product. I wouldn't be able to showcase enough signs because our products are 16 inches around, mostly. So we just put them right up front so that you can touch and feel it. But
then we do come in with the reverse U, right? But we have grass and a lot of lights to try to make it feel outdoorsy. Yeah. So that those signs feel like they would in their natural habitat.
Like in the daylight, you're trying to make it so. Yes, we do a grass rug.
And you got to pay attention.
Makes you think outdoors, and this product is outdoors. It's just like a subconscious thing for us. We want you to think outdoors, and this is going to hang outside because of course they ask, can I hang this outside? And that's signage. We have the signage. We can talk about signage in a minute. There's a million things we could talk about.
I know.
We pay attention to how they come in and go out. So sometimes we'll have a middle piece, but if we notice people aren't coming in around that middle piece, like maybe there's too many strollers that day or something, we'll move it out to open it up. So we kind of change our booth to what we see the traffic at the show
doing.
We do.
Sometimes we will change it mid-morning or day 2 or something. It just depends on how much traffic there is. If I have a booth and a half, yes, a center stand so that you could walk all the way around, but you've got to leave enough room for strollers, moms with strollers and walkers, wheelchairs, things like that to move around in your booth. So yeah,
that's so good. I can tell right now we're going to run out of time because this is so great. Will, do you want to go ahead and combine those two questions and shoot those out there because they're related?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So I'll share this one here. Speaking of the small portable laser at your booth, what do you recommend making to engrave on site?
Christmas ornaments,
Yes, personalization.
personalized Christmas ornaments. They will fly. We've seen other people that we know at the shows doing personalized. They were doing coasters.
Right. It could be anything. It could be keychains, coasters, smalls that you could put someone's name on.
Yeah,
a
they
last
said
name, grandkids' names.
They said their F1 stayed backed up with a backlog of Christmas ornaments to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, and that ties right into that. So is there which laser do you guys take to shows if you do bring a laser to a show?
Oh, our little F1 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Little pocket laser.
X-Tool F1. It is. Yeah, no, it's fine. It is a small little guy, and you can use the portable filter.
Yeah,
that one right.
Yes,
there.
that's.
I can't. Right.
That's it.
A tiny square
Really
back.
small, right there.
You're pinching its
If
head.
you break down the wall, if you break down this wall and then you go to the other wall, that's where my F1 is. So,
and ours is across this right there.
Yeah.
Right across on the other side of the room from us. Yes, that is a great one. Now, something to think about, we're finding that some of the vendors or the show promoters are not allowing you to bring lasers. So you definitely want to check with the show owner and the promoter to make sure that it's okay if you bring a laser.
Yeah, we had a friend at a show where they brought the fire marshal over to his booth to tell him to shut it down.
But I've been at Christmas shows where the guy across from us had a full-size laser.
Yeah,
right.
Full CO2 laser.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a full CO2, probably
like a 60 watt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
at least a 12 by 20. I mean, at least the desktop size, bigger.
It was doing the cutting boards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was throwing them in right there, and he was venting it into a bucket of water.
And we were across from him. It wasn't bad. Like I was hesitant that I was going to.
I was like, look at this guy venting it into a bucket of water.
Let me repeat that. Kim and Garrett said that you can vent your laser into a bucket of water. Have a great day. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Quote me.
No.
That's so great. Not great. Sorry. Not great.
Not great.
Question here. I'm sure this happens. The juried shows helps this not happen as much, but how often do you see other people either selling the exact same thing you have or something really similar? And let me follow up on that is when that does happen, because I'm sure it happens from time to time, either whether it's for you or other people that go to shows. How do you approach that mentally? What are your thoughts about when you see people selling the same things that you're selling? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Sometimes there's some strong opinions about that.
Yeah. Well, not from me. I don't care. We see people with our designs all the time now,
which is great. I mean,
which is great. And I'm like, I want everybody to succeed. You succeed, I succeed. And my thing is, if you beat me at my own game, that's on me. I mean,
yeah.
So if I see another booth over there, we do things to try to stand out. We got a hanging sign that will hang out in the aisleway. And when we're outside, I got a big flappy one that flaps around.
Mm-hmm.
We put our best foot forward with the wows out front. And some people some customers will come by and be like, I saw the other booth and theirs just aren't as nice as yours. And I'll be like, thanks, but those people are our friends too. They do a good job.
Well, so yes, we do see people selling the same products that we sell. As a matter of fact, the same signs that we sell, they're using the same designs that we have, but it's all about, it's not just about the product. I mean, that's important. And everybody puts their own spin on it. They paint it differently than we might paint it.
Different display tactics.
Different materials than we use. But it also, is important to have your booth stand out, who you are, showcase your personality a little bit in your booth. And then again, you're the vendor. So a little bit about the artist. If they see the same sign at this booth and that booth, and it's the exact same design, but they got to know me a little bit more, they might come back and buy from me because they want to purchase from me because they liked who I was. And that's, I mean, I know I've done that.
You became a person to them, and they enjoy supporting people, not just buying products.
And they buy from you in spite of Garrett, which is great. I know that Will has, and I agree so much. Will inspires me all the time on this topic of, I'll kind of lead you into this, Will, and you talk about it for just a second, is like Will sells blanks, and he doesn't sell very many blanks that someone else couldn't sell. So Will, what's your kind of thought process there? How do you approach that? Because it's very similar to what Kim and Garrett are talking about now.
I think a lot of it is what do you do to elevate the customer's experience, right? Like Kim and Garrett were saying, was I interact with them. I've built a relationship with them. I like their work, but I also like them. I want to support the people that I like.
Yeah.
So if I see someone make, even if it was the exact same thing, if it was, not now a huge disparity in cost, maybe I would consider. But if it's close, I'm going to support the people that seem passionate about what they do, right? And I know they talked about it earlier, was I've gone to shows just as a customer, not as a vendor. And they said, 50 to 75% of the people are just sitting there unengaged.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell people, if you're doing a show, engage your customers. We're not just a gallery, right? You're there to sell. You're there to sell your product. You're there to sell yourself. You're there to engage and let people know what you do and share your passion. And if you just sit back there, they're going to look and they might like it, but they're not going to buy. They're just like, oh, okay. If they have to ask a ton of questions, or if there's too many people there and they're not being addressed, it's what sets you apart, right? So I think it's the little things that you can do. If it's inviting them in, if it's giving a freebie, if it's having a raffle of some sort, something to draw them in, that just makes your booth more appealing to them, especially in a crowded market.
Part of the experience.
Well, it's customer service. Again, you got to treat it like a job. You got to come in dressed like you're coming to a job, and you got to treat it like you're there to do a job. Like if I worked at Blockbuster and I have to greet everybody that came in the door, I'd expect the same from me working at my own booth.
He did work at Blockbuster.
Ramona's got a great comment. People buy from people. Will has added value to people and built trust in our community. He absolutely has.
Exactly.
For sure.
And we've said many times, many people can do what we do, but no one can be who we are.
Yes.
So it's important that you lean into your strengths, right? And like you said, this is not for everybody. Some people just are introverted. You don't want to have to do those things at a show, but if you want to be successful, there are requirements that need to be done.
You can learn to engage. So that's something I will tell you. When we first started, Garrett would not, he's as outspoken as he is. When he first meets you,
I don't want to be a salesman.
Yes, he's super kind of shy and quiet. So believe it or not. But then, I know it's kind of crazy. But over time, so I would say you have to say something. You have to engage folks. And he goes, "Oh, these things sell themselves.
These babies sell themselves."
I was like, yeah, well, it would sell more if you just chatted with people. And so when I would leave the booth, it's part of the reason why I think I would stay gone a little bit, give you an opportunity to chat with folks. I'm helping you by walking around.
Helping me with my personal growth. I understand now. I still don't enjoy it.
So he would learn to engage folks, and he would say, and we make conversation, and then they would get to know, and then they would come back by later and say, "Oh, your husband was so funny. Yeah, I talked to him earlier. He's so funny." And so they did get to know him. And, I do think that that's important.
I'll go ahead because Will's going to beat me to it if I don't tell my quick Chick-fil-A story, because I use this one. He knows this story.
I know the story.
He'll do the.
I'll let you tell it, and I'll do the movement.
Oh, okay. And then I'll let you kind of. Will, I'll let you kind of maybe close up our time with those couple questions you have there, just to reiterate that people shop with people, or people like to shop with friends or people that are friendly. Years ago, I used to work in a local mall here, and we had the food court, right? And I would on lunchtime I would come down to the food court, and there was a Chick-fil-A there, of course, and the owner there was named Paul, and Paul was a people person. He was way more of a people person even than he was a restaurant guy specifically. He just loved people, and he got to know me really quickly. Of course, part of it was I was wearing a name tag so he could get my name quicker. But he said, "Hey, Mark, how you doing? Good to see you." And, I'd come down there, I'd eat there almost every day. But I'd come down there, and if I'd walk past his Chick-fil-A and just look like I'm looking somewhere else, like thinking of another place, he'd go, "Mark, where are you going? You eat with friends." And he would actually say that. And even on the days when I didn't feel like eating there, I was like, well, I mean, it's Paul. I'm going to eat with my friend. And and then one day I actually walked across the way to, where is it, Will?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. I did. That's right. Do you remember the owner's name? Because, by the way, he's a friend. It was Taco Bell Tim. I know him now. But I didn't know him at the time. And I walked over there, and I'm standing in front of Taco Bell, and I'm getting ready to order. And I'm not kidding. Paul yells, "Mark, they don't even know your name." And of course, the poor guy, it wasn't Tim, but the poor guy goes, and you probably can't see my eyes from here. He looks down and reads my name tag after Paul yells it and goes, "Hey, Mark." And I went, "Dude, way too late. Way too late." But Paul taught me that kind of concept about you shop with friends. And he would go out into the food court and he would look for Chick-fil-A drinks, and he would say, "Hey, ma'am, can I get you a refill? Just stay there. I got it." And the owner, walk out there, get drinks, and walk all the way back out. And he did different things. And my point to the story is, how can you do a version of that at your booth? Something that makes sense, but how can you set yourself apart from the people next to you who are buried in the corner on their phone? Right?
Yep. Yeah, that is exactly it. And so those are some of the things I hope that we could share. We've been sharing a lot of that today, but even more of those examples.
We have a lot of examples.
Yeah, we have lots of stories how we're going to pack it all into a workshop.
Well, why don't we just, so let me say this, and I'm going to have Will go ahead and grab these last couple questions, because people have got questions kind of all over the map. So we'll throw a couple up there. But Kim and Garrett are going to be teaching a class on having great shows at the conference. So it's going to be excellent. Definitely, if you haven't got your tickets, you can grab it at the website that's been scrolling down here the whole time. But Will, why don't you shoot the last couple of questions for people before we go here? And again, if you get here late, I see a couple of people got here late, feel free to ask questions and we'll get them to them anyway.
Cool. All right. So, there's the website. Check it out. I know you see it scrolling, but I just made it real big. nextlevellaserevents.com. If you want to get tickets to the conference, we'd love to have you there. You guys get to meet Kim and Garrett, learn more about craft shows. I'll throw a couple quick questions on here for you. We just got our F1, and my husband has been wondering, how do you cover it so people won't be tempted by the laser?
It has that protective cover.
Protective cover.
So we don't cover it from there.
You should be okay behind the green. I mean,
I almost like it out for people to see, because, like you said, it's like a puppy. It makes them want to stop.
Yeah, you put it out there, and as soon as here's what happens. So if we don't have the F1 laser with us at the big shows at the end of fall, I have a TV. Because the TV works just like the F1 laser, and everybody stops and starts to watch the TV. And we just have the YouTube videos rolling. That's what we do. But the F1,
but it could be a slideshow of pictures. As long as it's moving, it stops people, and they will stand there. And then the next guy wants to walk up, and he stops. What are you watching? What's happening here? If anyone would have our videos, they'll stand and watch the videos for a few minutes, then look up and be like, "Did you make all these?" Like, you're standing there and watching the video. You see, I'm showing you how I paint. It's usually a Test Cut Tuesday, how we're painting a sign or something.
But the green cover you should be fine. If you're doing something big, move it to the back of your booth so it's not in their face.
Yeah.
I'll jump a quick question in here, Will, and then you grab that other one. You talked about the importance of capturing email addresses. How do you do that? I've seen people do anything from just a physical piece of paper where they write it, which I'm not a huge fan of, but maybe that's what you guys do. I don't know. Do you do it electronically? How do you go about collecting those physically? How do you do that?
We have a little iPad there sitting there, and they can enter their email address right there. And that's the easiest way, because now you have it electronically. You don't have to type it. You don't have to try and read someone's handwriting. And they enter it, and they're entering a drawing. You want to enter the drawing? Here's a little. It's not even an iPad. It's an
Amazon Fire tablet,
Fire?
the 10-incher. It costs it was like $69. It was
And
like,
what are they actually typing into? Is it a form or what are they typing into?
Yeah, it's a form on our website, and I just have that page up.
Mhm.
So when they get to the thing, when they touch it, that web page pops up, and they can enter their stuff in for the thing
That's great.
event.
Well, I'm going to throw this one up here, Mark, because I think Ramona wanted to give you a little shout out here. Mark, you also add so much value to our community. Once I got my Glowforge years ago, I purchased my first file from you. Building trust is priceless. Same with the guest speakers. Their YouTube videos have been so helpful. So both of you, Mark and Kim and Garrett, good job.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ramona.
My first file purchased was from Mark as well.
Nice. That's great. Thank you, Ramona. I appreciate that. Awesome. And Kurt, I see Kurt says he's excited to attend my second conference. That's awesome.
Yeah, Kurt.
That's great.
First one. Great, huh?
Yeah, well, this year we couldn't be more excited. We've got so many great speakers, teachers. I think we've got 24, 25 teachers, and so it's going to be incredible. And I'm looking forward to getting to spend a little more time with these guys too.
Yeah,
be able to sit down for at least a minute and maybe even take in one of your classes too. It's going to be great. Any final questions, or do you guys have anything you want to kind of close up with that you want to say to people? Put you a little bit on the spot.
Meet us at next level. Come get your selfie.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to collect as many selfies as I can.
Yeah, that's Garrett's big thing. Always trying to get a photo with folks. You can find us on YouTube. Definitely come back. Find us on YouTube. KNGMakeIt.com is our website. It's going to have links to all of our social media, including our YouTube videos. Every week we do a DIY project. On Tuesdays we go live. We paint. We show you paint techniques. We're doing a new design every Tuesday. And then Sundays, we've been doing Sunday studio sessions, kind of more podcast, ask me anything sessions. So 3 times a week, you could pop in and see us.
Love it. So everybody go to their website, subscribe to everything, buy everything. Oh, hey, real quick, pitch your paint. Talk about the paint real quick. I know it's back there.
Yes, it is. So here's some of our spring colors. So we've got our own paint brand, Foxy Hues Paints.
So it's Foxy Hues Paints. It's outdoor craft paint. So it has all those outdoor properties just like you would in house paint. So it's UV resistant, weather resistant. Can you tell I do this at the craft shows? Indoor,
outdoor crafts, all of those things. So, and they're just beautiful poppy colors. So they're great to do any kind of little project.
That's
furniture,
great.
even all of it.
Because I get asked all the time what they should use for outdoor paint, and I don't have a lot of experience with that personally. So I'm going to have to get some and promote it as well.
We will send you some.
Yeah, we'll send
Look for
you
your
some.
box in the mail.
That's awesome. Guys, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We could do this for another hour with you guys. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Let's make sure, let's try to get this again. Maybe we can do it again before the conference. I see some, oh gosh, real quick, I see your question here. I'll just throw it up here because you just talked about the paint. Is it acrylic or oil?
It's acrylic.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. We're just going to call it a day for now, and we will get back again with you guys again soon. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Will, thank you for being here from California. I'm in Oklahoma, and I never actually asked everybody, so everybody to know, where are you guys located?
Oh, we're in Virginia.
Virginia.
So we got the country.
Yeah.
We're
triangulated. We got it.
That's so great.
Everybody should fall in between us.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Kim and Garrett, stay here. Everybody else, we will see you in the groups. Thanks for hanging out with us, and buy all their stuff. We'll see you at the conference, if not before. Take care.